In our current unit, we are learning how to compose music using software and technology, and we're going to learn the process that composers go through to write music. We're doing a very simplified version of a composition, but every student is doing their own. You started off with writing a 4-beat melody onto whiteboards and then playing through them on your recorder, and that was to make sure that you wrote a composition or a melody that you could also play and that others could successfully play. It's easy to choose notes at random, but we have to make sure that the notes we choose at random are playable by musicians, and so we selected those. So I'm going to take that information and now digitize it by putting it into Noteflight.com. So first, with Noteflight.com, if you've not already done so, you need to join. You can sign up using Google or Facebook, but most of you, of course, have done this already. But just to make sure for those who haven't yet, we're using an email address. I'm going to use my school email, and that's what I recommend, or any email that you can access and get the code from. You're going to tell it that you're not a robot because, well, you're not, and sign me up. And then you'll be getting an email at that account that you need to check. So I'm going to come over to my email icon and just make sure that I get that email. And there it is. And it says activate account. So we're going to activate the account and create a username. I'm just going to make a generic one. I will be deleting this so that you all can't log in. But I'm going to make my username Fluffy Music Teacher, and I'll create a password. Alright. Well, you're getting all my messages. Maybe I should have turned those off, all this personal stuff I'm reading through. Anyway, I'm going to click I'm a student, as should you, and we're writing or arranging music. These parts here that tell us a little bit about yourself isn't really necessary, but the part that is necessary is your username and password. You must remember those. So you can make this part up, but I'm going to go ahead and be honest. My main instrument is piano, and as a composer, I would say I'm intermediate, and as a performer, I would call myself advanced, not to brag, but I don't have to. But I'm going to get started. I'm not going to worry about saving that password because this is just a demonstration website. I already have my own personal account. Anyway, your page is going to look like this. And you're going to create a new score. And it's going to give you some options here. You're going to start from a blank score sheet. And it's going to look like this with all these editing features and toolbars up above. Okay? First and foremost, know where your save button is. And that's the most important part. Also, I'm going to click on this button that says keyboard. If you're using a laptop, this will be hidden until you click that, and you can type notes in using the piano keyboard. You'll need to use the resources in the classroom to know where the notes are if you don't already. But on the iPad, this will automatically appear. You can hide it, but using the keyboard is the only way that you can put notes into the system, whereas on a laptop you can use your mouse. So I'm going to extend my screen here so that I can, so you can see everything. But first and foremost, we're going to give it a title. I asked you to give it a title with you and your partner's name. So I'm going to put mine and my partner's name, Mr. and Mrs. C. And since I'm doing the work, I'm going to put Mr. C in the composer field. And I'm going to say that my class is 5KW. I would like that to be your subtitle. You can leave the lyricist out because we didn't do any lyrics. I've also asked that you change the tempo to 86. That'll make it more of a walking speed. Oops, not there. This is here. Oh. And that's the nice part about this demo, is you see all the mistakes. It's a learning curve to get through this. And that's fine. It'll frustrate you at times. It does me. But over time, you'll get better at it, and you'll see it's pretty cool to work with this program, especially that it's free. Also, another important thing is this toolbar over here. You're going to see there's all these toolbars that you can throw up into the editing bar. and sometimes they accidentally get closed, but this is where you find it. But I'm going to open up this one that says Edit and put it on the toolbar because I'm going to be using the undo quite a bit, and the cut and the delete, I'm sure, as I make mistakes. But right here it says Measures. You're going to highlight the measures that you don't want and delete them. We're only doing one measure of music with 4 beats. And now we're ready to begin. Again, save frequently so you don't have to start your work over again. I'm going to close the menu bar, but I'm going to come up to Instruments. This is the first part that we did in class together. I'm going to add the flute, which is a woodwind instrument, and delete the piano over here. Okay, that way I have the single line. And now we're going to transfer the notes that you wrote on the whiteboard onto here. So I'm going to make up a melody that works well, that I could play on the recorder using the notes we've learned. Very simple melody. And I'm just going to place them on the staff like this. But I don't want that to be a quarter note. I want an eighth note instead. So I'm going to change my duration up here. And notice that it changes what is highlighted as orange. And my last note, nope, I want that to be an eighth note. I'm going to put my last note in here. And there I have my 4 beats. I'm going to save and play it. So in class we did a little exercise on understanding keys and chords, and using the resources that are in the classroom, you can then choose which chords are going to play along with this. So if this was written for recorder, for instance, and we pulled out the ukuleles, we'd need to know which chords would sound good with these notes. So this note is G. I'm going to highlight the G and come up here to the text menu bar and click on the A7. That's the chord symbol, and it's going to put this dialog box above. And my choices of the chords that we had written on the board are G, D, or C. A G chord can be used with a G. That one's pretty obvious. But so can a C chord. And just for the sake of making it easy, I'm going to call it a G chord. Then I'm going to click and highlight the next note, and that needs a chord to play with it. We have G, D, and C again. The only one that can play a B in it is a G chord. So I don't need to type the G again because it's already playing. Musicians will know to play the same chord until they are told to change. So you can leave it blank. You can put it in again, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it blank and move to the one that changes. This is a C. Again, my choices are a G major, D major, or C major chord, and I'm going to choose C major for C because it's actually the only one that can work of those choices. So I'm going to use C, and since I have 2 C's in a row, I don't need to change chord. And now I have a D. A D can be found in both D major and G major. And I can add variety and make it D, but I'm going to just go back to G to make it sound pretty simple. I'm going to click on Save, and then I can play back. And I can see now that this is going to print above these notes. And this would tell your guitar player, your ukulele player, or piano player, or any player for that matter, what chords to play while this melody is playing here. Alright, that was the first part of the project. Or actually, writing the melody was the first part. Now putting it into this computer program would be part 2. The next part is orchestrating it. That's going to be part 3. This is where it gets a little tough, but it's actually really cool.